If you really look at aerospace industry today, where it stands, we are about 2% of the global supply chain. I'm speaking more of a commercial aerospace industry right now,
Yes.
because that's a larger piece of the, what we're talking global supply chain perspective. And then we can talk a little bit about the defense side also, which is
Yeah.
also has aerospace, defense aerospace side of it. We are about 2% of the global supply chain today, and we are going to be, aviation market for aerospace aviation market for about 10% of the global market will be India in coming, in the coming years, coming decade, basically, I would say. So the aspiration for the OEMs to do more out of India, one, obviously, they want to buy where the market is also. The second one is India as a country has a significant value story to tell, deliver to them, especially large engineering base and precision machining background coming out of automotive background, what we had and what we have built ourselves, example, over the last 15 years in understanding aerospace industry. And able to understand the what is required to be globally competitive, capability perspective and building a vertical integrated solutions coming out of India. So these are all becoming like a flywheel effect over last 10 years. These have been slowly, they have been moving and rotating. Now it's a momentum has picked up, and we see that our ability to absorb much larger work packages as a country is very high. And that basically makes it easier for the OEMs to place large work packages, like tens of millions of dollars a year on a work package, makes a
Mm.
difference, versus what they used to place 1 million, 2 million a year kind of work packages. So the contracts of $100 million is not unusual at all anymore in this business today.
So, in your opinion, I think the Indian aerospace industry is ready for a multi-year growth cycle. And what are the tailwinds will push for this multi-year growth cycle?
Yeah, if you really look at it, I would say one is the order backlog what OEMs have today. It's over next 10 years, they don't need any new orders, actually. Even if they're building at a much higher level than what historically they have built, still they will no need to get any more orders to fill to 2035. And on top of that, Indian aviation market is also growing significantly, really, if you look at it. Typically, aviation market grows two times the GDP. And when GDP grows 8, 9%, so aviation market grows like, you know, two times of that. That basically are two big tailwinds what we have. And also the customers are focusing on ability to buy more from India, especially if we can get more value out of this. And
Mm.
third is third element, which basically post-COVID, the Western supply chain has not been able to ramp back up to the levels where OEMs want them to be, just because of lack of engineering talent. And a lot of people during the COVID time retired, and the talent doesn't exist anymore. And then that basically creates a problem for ramping up back to the high volumes, which industry has never delivered in the past. And then the last element is the cost of capital. Cost of capital, West was almost negligible. So whether it's 1%, sometimes it's even minus, right? So suddenly the cost of capital has shown up at 7, 8% level, which is in line with what we were facing all along our life in India.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that makes it more competitive also, per se. So I think all these are factors of which are tailwind, I would call, to drive this industry to look at India much more positive sense.
From a market's point of view, have you seen a decisive global sourcing shift towards India? And is it more to do with domestic demand that is coming in, or the export opportunity, which is also there for many companies?
No, it's predominantly global requirements. Obviously, India aviation market is growing and obviously higher than anybody else in the world today because of just the GDP growth, what is happening. But our base is very small, so you always grow faster when your base is small as a percentage basis. And it's predominantly the value they see out of India and ecosystem they have developed. I mean, this did not happen overnight. So it has happened over last 15 years or so. Since 2008, 9, we have seen Airbus and Boeing trying to do more in India,
Mm.
building, working with suppliers like us to develop capabilities and vertical integration as much as possible. and because they ultimately want to maximum value add happens in this industry. The parts fly across the world to get finished, and if we can somehow bring that together in short space, like what you're seeing in a special economic zone, aerospace cluster, we can within 500 meters we can finish the part. So that makes a big difference in terms of in the current initiative sustainability, and also logistics nightmare and risks what we see sometimes in a global geopolitical uncertainties what we see sometimes. All this gets eliminated, and on top of it, we have a sustainable energy also. India is growing sustainable energy. On top of it, we can deliver a literally a green solution to customers. So that's those are all the actual ground realities of the what they're leveraging.
If you look at the industry or the Indian capabilities, maybe in 10 to 12 years back, it has it has much to do with smaller part manufacturing and exporting it to the OEMs. Have you, in the last decade or last few years, seen a transition happening to not just being aircraft parts, but also the other aerospace parts, which includes missiles, rocket motors, ammunitions, electronic drones, or aerospace subsystems?
Yeah, I would say predominantly it has been a commercial aerospace side, because as soon as you get into the exports on the military side, it becomes a lot of ITAR, export control issues come into picture. And really parts complexity have grown. And today, if I look at it, uh, literally every material, whether it's aluminum, steel, Inconel, any of the super alloys we're processing, and size of the parts have grown steadily from under 1 meter to up to 4 meter parts. So there is an economics since economics where a certain point it may not make sense to fly the part out. you know so we see about 4 meters on an average maximum. Anything more than that would be more not economical to really fly out of the country, produce it here and ship it out for assembly lines. That's how we look at it. So, I mean, over a period of time, we've expanded this, capacity. For example, our surface treatment facility, or whether our machining facility, today goes up to 4 meters, a world-class facility, up to 4 meters automated processing it can do. So, over a period of time, we have extended this capability, because surface treatment is absolute necessary in this industry with all sorts of approval, over 90 approvals we have in the surface treatment facility. So that all adds up to bring more and more in, because unless you have approvals, OEM approvals, the systems guys, system integration guys approval, it's very difficult to get more parts out. Ultimately, this industry is about doing more components to create more value.